Duel Nature by Ekin. After 11, Twilight sparkled in the underwater temple. Twilight felt her blood run cold at the police officer's words. Did you say this pony was robbed? She asked somewhat redundantly. She had heard it perfectly well the first time. Princess. We are aware of the implications Twilight sparkle, said Luna. We should probably get over there, now, said Reynolds. The three ponies spun around and cantered quickly out the door, leaving the young officer at the front desk, very confused as he watched them go. Three ponies broke into a full-on gallop down the street towards the museum. There was no doubt in any of their minds that the break-in was connected somehow to the other events of the day. Ignoring the confused looks of the other ponies who began coming out of their homes and businesses to spend the night in the town. The trio reached the Smithsonian's front entrance in just a few minutes. Usually the museum would have been closed after shutdown. But tonight was still bustling with activity. Other than scholars and tourists, tonight the crowd was made up entirely of guards unwinding yellow crime scene tape around the perimeter, and detectives questioning members of their staff. Luna nodded to the guards, Stacy to the cellophane barrier. One of them went to the tape to allow them to pass. The three passed under it, and Luna ducking her head under to avoid catching her horn. As they walked towards the front door, Twilight couldn't help but glance up at the hole in the facade that had been hastily reinforced. It passed over it had collapsed on her that morning. Grinding her teeth, she pushed forward through the front door of the museum for the second time that day. Just like earlier that day, Fact Check was seated behind the reception desk. This time, though, she was giving a statement to a unicorn with a notepad, sitting uncomfortably in her seat as the guard peppered her with questions about what she had seen that evening. The hesitating mayor happened to glance up as Reynolds let the door slam behind him. If her expression suggested stress before, nothing compared to the look of sheer horror she wore as the princess of the night walked up to her. No, I'm sorry, Princess Luna. Please don't banish me to the moon. I swear, I didn't do anything. I'm sorry, please, give me another chance. I'll do better next time. Please don't, said Fact Check, before Princess Luna held up a hug to cut her off. Fear not, my little pony. We have no intention of punishing you. Just for the offense that were not in my power to control. Perhaps you could simply tell us what has happened here. Right, of course, Princess, said Fact Check, taking a deep breath to collect herself. It was about 15 minutes after sunset, and we technically closed the museum already. Well, we gave ponies an hour and a half after closing to leave on their own before we asked them to leave. In about a few minutes since I'd seen any pony else, so I was about to start a final walkthrough to see if any pony was still here, when our security officers came running up and told me there was noise coming from one of the exhibits. Which exhibit? Asked Luna. She was pretty sure she already knew the answer, but hoped against hope she might be wrong. Ouroboros one, said Fact Check. So I pulled the zero alarm and called the guard. I don't think they caught the pony who did this. The guard cleared her throat loudly and assembled the ponies that looked over her. This pony's statement is consistent with the one I took earlier for the security guard in question. One of the two researchers carrying the exhibit reported the noise. He's back with our forensics user, trying to figure out what was taken. We haven't been able to locate the other researcher, or any pony who's able to account for his whereabouts in the last few hours. What? Which was missing? Asked Twilight. The officer didn't perfect that particular detail of his statement, said the guard. Twilight glared at him and he shrank back a little. I forgot to ask, okay? The detective in charge got a description for the stallion hunt for the other one. I'm just trying to figure out what happened here. Why don't we go back to the exhibit? You two were here earlier today, right? Maybe we can help figure out what's missing. Asked Captain Reynolds. That would seem prudent. We agree, said Luna. Twilight grumbled her agreement, still fixing her glare on the guard pony. Fact Check, you did precisely what was called for. You have nothing to fear from us. Do not worry yourself unduly. Luna gave the mayor a gentle smile and placed a comforting hoof on her shoulder. Fact Check sniffled and smiled back. First give me the guard your statement and then go home. You've had a trying experience. Without waiting for a reply from the receptionist, Luna turned and walked deeper into the museum. Reynolds and Twilight followed her down to the darkened hallway. Twilight couldn't help but notice how gloomy the museum was at night. The lights had been turned off automatically a half hour after closing time, and it seemed no pony had bothered to turn most of them back on. Nothing in any of the other exhibits was visible from the dim corridor. Twilight found that she was still annoyed at the guard in the lobby. It was just shoddy police work. How could he not ask who had warned the security officer? That was why she was annoyed, she almost convinced herself. Any pony would be a such an oversight. She definitely wasn't worried that something had happened to Bronze Bell, obviously. Now, it was entirely rational for her to be concerned about the integrity of a witness to a crime. Yeah, that was probably it. The quickest way to the curator's office was to cut through the gallery where the exhibit itself was housed. Twilight had audible gasp as she rounded the corner and got her first look at the gallery itself. It was obvious that whoever had done this was more intent on breaking things than stealing anything. Cases had been smashed open and display ponies tipped over. Artifacts that had survived millennia of benign neglect laying in pieces among the shards of glass that covered the floor. Even the posters and tapestries that hung on the walls had been slashed. Ponies for the Pensacola forensics unit milled about, taking pictures and documenting the damage. Luna leaned over and whispered to Twilight's ear. It is of utmost importance that we locate the fate and burn that we pointed out earlier as quickly as possible. I sense that they may remain whole, but I cannot tell where. Our top report here is to secure them, she said. Twilight nodded, stepping gingerly through the gas, and trying not to disturb as little as possible. She glanced about, trying to spot either of the relics Luna had shown her that afternoon. It was almost to try and take anything buried in records of the exhibit, though. It would be days before they knew what had been taken, if anything. Twilight felt a surge of anger at whatever pony had done this. She could wrap her mind around why a pony would steal something that would be worth a lot of money, but this sort of random destruction just struck her as a product of such a deranged, sadistic mind. It seemed much worse than the ransacking of the hotel room earlier. It was not like there hadn't been anything that was irreplaceable. She never met a pony who she believed was capable of causing this destruction. Well, that wasn't entirely true. She did know Pinkie Pie. She never met a pony who she believed was capable of causing this destruction on purpose. She reached the other side of the room without disturbing anything. She hadn't seen any sign of either the plate or bowl. At least Luna seemed they certainly hadn't been broken. So there wasn't any amazing danger to the seal. She rejoined Luna and Riles and shook her head. The others did the same. That was worrying. But he only had a few places for the curator's office, and hopefully some answers. Twilight pushed the office door open without bothering to knock. Inside were two ponies. A cobalt pony with a microscope cutie mark and a pair of sunglasses, and Bronze! You're okay! Exclaimed Twilight. Before she knew it, she rushed over to him and was hugging him tightly. She felt him seize up for a moment, but soon he hugged her back. It smelled like old books and metal polish. Comforting, but a little bit acrid at the same time. Twilight, what are you doing here? Oh, Princess Luna, I hadn't realized you came back, said Bronze, once he recovered from surprise. Oh, Bronze, I'm sorry about your exhibit. I can't believe somebody would do that when you and the professor worked so hard on it, said Twilight. At that moment, they both seemed to realize that they were still hugging, and they pulled apart self-consciously, both of them blushing furiously. Where's Professor Secrets, anyway? That's just what I was telling Mr. Horatio Maine here. He left a couple of hours ago. I haven't seen him since. Not wanting to be seen him, I've talked to remember seeing him either, said Bronzebell. Horatio nodded and lifted his sunglasses off his face with telekinesis. Yes, it seems that the archaeology professor's trail is. He put his sunglasses back on. Ancient history. There was an awkward silence. Bronzebell leaned over to Twilight and whispered to her ear. He's been doing that a lot. Do you think we're supposed to say something? Twilight just shrugged. Horatio glared at a point in the wall, ignoring the glasses between the other ponies around him. After a few moments, Horatio went on as if there hadn't been any break in the conversation at all. We've taken an inventory of the museum's artifacts relating to Ouroboros that are on display. Several are missing from the secure storage area, but we haven't found any evidence of unauthorized entry. Either the professor or I inventory those every week. The professor signs off on the reports, said Bronze. Last time I looked, they were all there. We have a very careful archiving system. Twilight looked around at the files and documents scattered over at every available surface. Hazardously stacked files only they were one errant breeze away from burying some pony alive. Twilight could appreciate the virtues of little organized chaos. But he hadn't seen the same mess earlier that day, so he might have believed the intruder and right side the office too.
We'll know once we find the professor's secrets and question them, as well as collect evidence from the scene. I apologize we haven't had any breaks in the case. It's in your hotel room, Princess, said Horatio. Actually, we've had a few developments of our own on that front, said Reynolds. Twilight recounted her rooftop encounter with the mysterious Pegasus that afternoon for the examiner. Interesting. Not to mention disturbing as well. Seems the criminal and Pensacola are intent on giving you the royal treatment, said Horatio.
Luna thought for a moment. Well, we are all a member of royalty, so by definition, any treatment would be considered royal treatment in the most literal sense. She said. Horatio seemed confused as someone asked her to reply.
I suppose. Didn't actually mean it literally, Your Highness. I just thought.
Oh, are you sure you didn't? If you did not, then that would mean that you were trying to make some sort of jest about a series of instances that nearly cost a good friend of mine her life. Are you certain that was what you were trying to say? Asked Luna, somehow keeping any hint of menace out of her tone as she asked the loaded question.
Second thought, yes. I did mean it literally,
muttered Horatio, suddenly very interested in looking at anywhere else in the room except at Luna or Twilight. Oh, good. We are happy to hear we are becoming more adept at reading model conversational cues. We require a full list of what artifacts are missing, or diamonds, before sunrise from your department. Consider this your new top priority, above even our hotel room case. You are dismissed. Luna's horn closed. He opened the office door inward and looked at the Callie expectantly. Understanding his cue, Horatio stepped out of the room, pausing and turning to the other side.
Be careful out there, all of you. It seems that the beasts of Pensacola are in the middle of a crime war. Slam!
Luna slammed the door. Well, that was most annoying, she said before turning back to the other ponies in the room. Bonsbell, have you located either the plate or bull that we pointed out to you earlier today? Do you have a description of the ponies that did this? Asked Luna.
I'm sorry, Princess. I haven't seen either one. I told security officer about the noises coming from the exhibit. I came back here and locked the door. Sorry.
Luna explained something in a dialect Luna didn't realize. Twilight didn't recognize. Her boss's ears perked up.
What was that, Hippocampian?
Luna ignored the question and began passing around the room. Her annoyance was palpable. It put the other ponies on edge. We must assume the worst. That these intruders are aware of the purpose of these artifacts and are prepared to use them. If they are destroyed or mishandled, the seal of all bones will rupture and the results will be catastrophic. Even losing one or two might allow the serpent to manifest as a material plane. Because of that cowardice, we have nothing to go on! Said Luna, yelling the last part directly into Bronze's face. He called Sybil back and pressed herself into a corner of the room, cowering before the grouse his frustrated wrath. Hey! Twilight stepped between Luna and Bronze, shouting back at her. That's not fair, Luna, and you know it. Lay off! Bryles chimed in behind Luna.
Bronze did the right thing, Princess. Saw the kind of damage those ponies did. If we got an investigate, he might have been injured, or taken, or worse. Now we even know less than we knew now.
Luna turned away in a huff, slowly weighing their options. Princess, maybe it isn't that bad. If the police took the artifacts just to release the other boroughs under control, they could have taken them here. But you know they haven't, right? For any kind of ritual they're planning, they would need a third artifact. I think you said it was a knife? We just have to find the knife before they can...
I'm sorry for all of you. If I haven't been stronger or braver, I might been able to help you guys. Sorry to let you down, said Bronze.
This isn't your fault, Bronze, said Twilight gently. Now, before Professor Secret's finished, do you have any ideas on where the knife might be? We know exactly what it is, or at least what it was. We sealed it away in a temple, just like what we did with the other two artifacts. We've referred it to the Agricola, which translates roughly to building of horrible death in modern equestrian. Said Luna. She cracked a look on Twilight's face. We will not exactly try to encourage visitors when we chose the name Twilight Sparkle. However, the landscape has greatly changed since we were last here, and we are unsure where the temple stands now.
The professor said something about I told Hokura earlier today, actually. There was an old scroll he was studying all afternoon, said Bronze Bell. We haven't had any luck in translating it, but he was making progress thanks to your language lesson this afternoon. Let's do her hopes up and let out a string of angry syllables Twilight didn't understand. Ron seemed to catch a few of them both, though. Okay, that was definitely Hippocampia. Something, shove, something, a beer, somewhere, he guessed. Luna just glared at him. Bring us the scroll and its notes. We should be able to determine what he may have found, if anything. And the resting place of the third artifact has been located. We must reach it before anybody else can, said Luna. Ron fetched a scroll and notebook from the table on the other side of the room and brought them over to her. Luna flipped through the notebook. His notes are some form of code or sort of that I am not familiar with. Bronze, you said you've worked with the professor for a long time, right? Do you think you can translate the scroll and notes? Asked Twilight. Bronze gulped. I don't know if I could. I know the professor was wrong about a lot of stuff, but he was really smart. He saw connections between things that, even after he explained it to me, I could barely wrap my head around. Even with his notes, I'm not sure I'm on the same level as he is. Please, Bronze, you had to try. I'm certain Luna can help you with translating the scroll. But you're the only one here who's been able to decipher those notes, said Twilight, looking at him with pleading eyes. I know it's been a really rough day for you already, but I believe in you, Bronze. I know you could do this if you try. Bronze tried to protest, but when one glance at Twilight's earnest smile and gentle eyes, he knew he couldn't bring himself to refuse. I guess it's worth a shot. Thanks, Twilight. Bronze pulled out half a dozen other texts and reference books down from the various shelves around the office and laid them all over the table where Luna was seen with the scroll and Professor Secrets' notes. Luna began peppering him with questions about the notes and pointing to different passages. Bronze seemed a little hesitant at first, but after a few minutes, the two ponies began following ideas and suggestions back and forth, cross-referencing passages of the scroll with other works, and working as a team to unravel the puzzle in front of them. Twilight felt odd to be serving it from the outside for once. You eggheads seem to know how to bond with one another, don't you? Asked Rails. He sat down next to her, and they both watched as the two scholars on the other side of the room. Twilight giggled and put it into Captain's gentle teasing. Yeah, it's hard to believe she was screaming at him a couple of minutes ago, wasn't it? She asked. I wasn't talking about the two of them, said Rails, with a grin and a cocked eyebrow. Twilight furrowed her brow. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? She asked. Riles rolled his eyes and gave an exasperated sigh. I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually. Although Twilight didn't appreciate the condescending tone of the statement, she wasn't sure how to reply. They sat in silence, watching Twilight frauds for a few moments, as the two squabbled whether a particular placement on the scroll was a comma or just a watermark. Apparently, the answer could mean the difference between translating the passages as a list of geological events or the outcome of a gladiatorial match. I can't believe Barry's Secrets would do something like this, Captain. He's a bit full of himself when we visited this morning, but he spent decades pulling this exhibit together. It just feels off about the whole thing, said Twilight, changing the subject. You did say the princess basically told him all his hard work was incorrect, right? Maybe he was too angry about that to think straight. Maybe he wasn't at fault at all. We just don't know. If he wasn't at fault at all, then we'd be wasting time here trying to decipher his notes, though, said Twilight. It's the only lead we have, Twilight. Besides, there's still a chance that this break isn't connected to Ouroboros at all, or any other two artifacts in the gallery under all that debris, said Riles. Do you really believe that? Asked Twilight. Riles sighed. Not really, no. The minutes trickled away slowly as Luna and Bronze worked on the translation. Twilight felt useless. It would usually be her poring over a book looking for clues. But she knew that as she tried to interject herself, she just slowed the others down. It was frustrating not to be able to contribute, though. Twilight had never gotten the hang of waiting around for things to happen. The current situation was driving her up the wall. The slowly ticking clock on the office wall assaulted her senses with every tick, like temporal Kinganese wire torture. Rouse, on the other hand, felt a comfortable chair to sit down in and appeared to be napping. Twilight had no idea how he could possibly relax at a time like this. By the end of the first hour, Twilight had degenerated to pacing back and forth across the office. She once managed to wear a groove in the Ponyville's library floor the same way.
She hadn't thought through the office's tile floor just yet, but the night was still young. 45 minutes later, just when Twilight was the last vestiges of her self-control were about to finally snap, Luna stood up from the table she had been working at. We believe we have found our answer, everybody. The professor extrapolated a location for the recovery we were searching for based on the hippocampal records of yore. If we are correctly interpreting his findings, it is currently residing in aquatic environment. It's underwater. That's why we haven't been able to find it before. We believe that they did bronze spell, said Luna. Thank you for your assistance in the smile. We apologize for our early outburst. It was uncalled for. Bronze flushed with embarrassment at the princess's words. I just hope I translated the notes correctly. I don't want to send you off on a wild goose chase, he said. We must depart immediately if we are to accept anybody else who might be making for the same location. Captain, may we request the tranquility for this purpose, said Luna.
By all means, Your Majesty,
replied Reynolds. Luna strolled out of the office, with Reynolds following her. Twilight went to join them, but stopped when she felt Bronze Bell grab one of her back legs. Twilight turned to face him.
Oh, I'm sorry, Twilight. I just wanted to say,
Buzz stumbled over his words, like he was trying to decide whether or not to tell her something important.
Just come back safe, okay?
Was what he finally settled on. Twilight wrapped her forelegs around him again. I will. I promise. When she tried to release him, Ron squeezed her closer for just a moment before he let her go.
I'm holding you to that, Twilight. Don't think you're getting out of that promise.
Twilight smiled down, and one last time before she followed Reynolds and Princess Luna out to be seen towards the darks. Out on the water, the tranquility sped towards the point Professor Secret's journal had indicated was the resting place of the ancient temple. Twilight was finding that being out of the water in the dead of night was very different than going out during the day. The bobbing motion of the boat was making her nauseous. There was nothing unmoving in the distance she could focus on to counter it. She tried looking over the side of the boat. Instead of the inviting blue ocean water, she found herself staring at an inky black void that suddenly felt like it must go down forever. The prospect of diving into that trying to find a single building at the bottom of the ocean was terrifying. Twilight cursed her decision to read Creatures of the Deep the previous week in preparation for the trip down here. It was all too easy for her imagination to conjure up ideas about what could be lurking just down the surface. Likely, it didn't take long to reach their destination. A completely unremarkable patch of unburned water. Reynolds double-checked the instruments in the cabin and confirmed that this was the spot the directions pointed to. Now what? Asked Twilight. I know plenty of spells for breathing underwater, but there's not going to be any light down there at all. The temple could be in front of my face and I wouldn't know. Luna looked down and pondered the problem. Even a light spell wouldn't cut very far through the dark water.
We will clear the skies.
Moonlight would be helpful. Perhaps we could work out a way to amplify it, she said. The sky had grown overcast. The clouds blotted out any light from the stars above. Luna spread her wings and took off high into the air. Her horn began to shimmer. Twilight watched the clouds melt away from her, like somebody had added a drop of soap to a bucket of greasy water, exposing her night tapestry against the fold of the heavens. The goddess could chase the environment faster than a dozen teams of alarm parties. Twilight wasn't surprised she would jump at any chance to expose the night sky to the world. Partway through clearing the sky, she stopped abruptly. Twilight was puzzled as the clouds suddenly reversed course and flowed back into the area it had just left. Princess Luna! Twilight called out, raising her voice to address the distant pony. Is everything okay?
We all saw Twilight Sparkle,
replied Luna, easily audible in a careless voice. We're looking down to see below, and there appears to be a patch of water that is somehow distinct. We believe it is glowing slightly. Over there! Luna gestured to the direction he had come from. Twilight looked back at the way that Luna was pointing. She didn't see anything out of the ordinary, or indeed much of anything at all. Now the clouds had returned. The only light was from the lanterns of the Tranquility, and the distant pinpricks of Pensacola itself. Still, Luna had much more sensitive eyesight than Twilight did, not to mention a better vantage point. If they really were in a race to reach the temple before Professor Secrets, it would be unwise to detour in order to investigate what ultimately might be something completely unrelated. Twilight happened to look down at the water below her again. Quickly decided that anything that delayed her having to submerge herself in absolute darkness was worth checking out. Luna glided back down to the deck of the boat. The trio quickly conferred, and all they agreed on the phenomenon was worth looking into. Carried the boat back towards the shore, it took only a quarter of an hour to reach the place Luna had spied. Only about a quarter mile from Pensacola itself. Now that she knew what she was looking for, Twilight saw that what Luna had. The water wasn't glowing. There certainly seemed to be a light coming up from something below. She looked over to find that Riles was staring down in the water as well. The faint glow lighting him from below gave the scene a washed-out feeling. A sense that could be seen couldn't be real. Could it be the temple princess? Is there any reason it would be glowing like that? Asked Twilight. Luna thought for a moment. If we recall correctly, the buildings of this place wove a number of enchantments into each temple, so they might be more easily defended from foes or serve as a place of sanctuary in times of trouble. These enchantments protected from the robberies of time. They may also be reactivated, lying within the temple if a opponent entered. That is, all assuming the building was on Dallas, of course. Otherwise, they would have most likely failed.
Maybe Professor Secrets' notes were wrong, or Bronze couldn't translate correctly. Either way, I bet you bits of bagels were in the right spot, said Reynolds.
Luna nodded, and adopted a stern grip of determination. I concur. We will prepare ourselves to go down there immediately. Reynolds protested immediately.
I'm sorry, Princess. No way you're going down there.
Twilight nodded. I'm here as your bodyguard, remember? There's no way I'll let you walk into a trap filled to a temple that might be crawling with thieves and vandals who did that to the museum. One of us will go down, the other will stay up here with you. Riles tapped gently his horn, once as he poked it.
I don't think I'm myself to casting anything, much less a water breathing spell. Looks like this one's all yours, Twilight.
Twilight winced and nodded, but it wasn't a surprise. He should be able to see better than he expected to. Very well then. We wish you good fortune if you insist on going yourself. We suggest you require the dagger and return as quickly as possible, said Luna.
Be careful, Sparkle, added Reynolds.
Twilight jumped out the side of the boat into the water. It wasn't quite as cold as she feared, but it was hardly pathwater. Her treading hooves cast strange, dancing sounds against the hull of tranquility as she swam in place. She focused her mind on the foaming sea around her, where air and water mixed. She willed the atmosphere around her to dissolve into the water, wrapping the hyperoxygenated fluid around her like a security blanket. As long as she held that part of the water close to get nose and mouth, she'd be able to pull the gas out again, without even needing to think about it. Within a few minutes, she had what she thought would be enough air to last her a couple of hours, if she needed it. The worst part about casting any underwater breathing spell was testing it. Twilight stuck her face below the surface, mentally prodding every part of the spell around her, and double-checking for mistakes. Then, despite hundreds of thousands of years of evolution screaming at her not to, she opened her mouth and inhaled deeply. A bubble of oxygen wrapped itself around her face like a muzzle. Hey, you know what would be really good right about now? An orb that could turn you into a sea pony. Sadly, this fic was made back in 2013. We're still several years away from that! Providing a fresh year before dissipating into the rest back into the ocean around her. Satisfied she wasn't about to drown herself, so only a few more seconds to prepare a simple transmutation spell around herself. Reflexively taking a deep breath, she triggered the spell and felt her body become heavy. Slowly denser to the water around her, Twilight began to sink quickly beneath the waves. Opening her eyes, she looked up and watched the boat slip up further and further away until the murky seawater obscured it entirely. Even with the light infusing the water around her, her vision was cloudy. Twilight could only see a meter or two in either direction. But beyond that, she could just make out dark station sizes moving around. She reminded herself that 90% of all ocean life forms were harmless to ponies. Which means that 1 in 20 of those shapes would eat you given half the chance. Part of her mind chose that moment to remember. Not helping! Twilight decided to look down and said, "Would she be able to make out where she was going?" The light was growing more intense. Twilight figured she was about 20 or 25 meters down when she found the light source. It was an ancient stone building, a roughly shaped pyramid, covered in carvings and ancient runes, some of which were glowing. The light was spilling in from windows and doorways at every level of the roughly pyramid-shaped structure. It looked like it had been originally assembled out of thick blocks of gray stone, but most of the surface was obscured by plants, coral, and other growths that had sprung up wherever they could attach themselves. Rather than billowing in ocean currents, the plants hung lifeless against the flat, size of the building. It took Twilight a moment to realize why. The entire temple was encased in some sort of air pocket or bubble, with a nearly transparent barrier holding it against the ocean floor instead of bubbling away. Twilight was coming up upon the barrier quickly and braced herself for impact. Her hose went straight through it like it wasn't there at all. The barrier was made to keep air in, not to keep ponies out. In a flash, Twilight dispelled the spell that she used to sink down, trying to paddle her way away from it. Too late. Red lights fell uselessly against the air, and her back half no longer displacing any water. She felt gravity pulling her downward as faster as she could paddle against it. In a moment, she was through the barrier completely in a free fall. She landed roughly against the side of one of the steeply slanted walls, and began to half bounce, half fold down the side of the building. The slick, wet seaweed that coated the walls offered no purchase. She crashed down hard on her side like some kind of balcony or outcropping about 3 stories above the seafloor. Gasped as the impact knocked the wind out of her. For a few moments she lay there unmoving, trying to catch her breath. There were noises coming from the inside of the temple, loud, crashing, and banging sounds echoing down the hallway. Twilight was fairly certain whoever was making them had heard her arrive. As she felt up to it, Twilight slowly rose to her sneaky hooves and went to the doorway that led out to the balcony she had landed on. Crystals embedded in the walls glowed with an air light that was bright and somehow soft at the same time. The floors were covered in a layer of sand and slit, so deep it might as well have been the seafloor itself. There was even a few fish clinging on the ground, gasping for breath as they slowly suffocated. So you concluded that the whole structure must usually be submerged, as air bubbles of recent development. No doubt it was somehow connected to all the noise. Moving as quickly and quietly as she could, Twilight trotted down the hallway, looking for any kind of staircase or ramp that would take her higher up. Luna had mentioned that the Dagger's usual resting place was a room near the top of the temple, and it made the most sense to head in that direction. Lost in her own plans and thoughts, it was only at the last moment Twilight looked down on the floor she put her weight down on. 3-meter long portion of the hallway had a floor uncovered of stone, with barely even a dusting of sand over it. And on that, layer of sediment reappeared, much like the one she had been walking on. There were indentations on the far side, of prints, but the floor behind her had been undisturbed. Twilight slowly and cautiously placed her hook down on the stone floor. When nothing happened, she shifted a little more weight into it. Still nothing. A little more. A little more. Stone slabs dropped away, the whole uncovered portion swinging down into a pit-like trap floor. Twilight gasped and fell back. She had been standing on it when that happened. Twilight went down the pit trap. The bottom was lined with wicked-looking spines, half buried in sand and silt that must have fallen the same time the trap was teared. She couldn't find a pair of green forelegs reaching out the deepest pile of sand, unmoving. The spikes around them were coated in blood, so fresh they looked like they still might be wet. She looked away from the grisly scene below, trying to suppress the urge to throw up. Luna had warned her that the temple might contain traps, but she hadn't conveyed just how vicious and bloodthirsty they were. A fresh wave of revulsion washed over Twilight as she realized the triggering mechanism made the floor fall away wasn't just triggered by weight, the sand alone hadn't triggered it. Must have some way of knowing that a living creature was present. Twilight teleported across the uncovered expanse as the stone slab swung back up and reset itself into place. Even knowing it was there, Twilight couldn't make out the seam of the stonework. It was either phenomenally precise engineering or some sort of minor illusion to keep it concealed, so he had to be more careful. Twilight continued running down the hallway, retracing the unfortunate pony's steps to keep from setting off anything else. She had been walking for more than a minute or two before she reached the point where one of the walls ended. Instead, Twilight found herself looking out into the gigantic central chamber. Despite what she had just seen, the beauty of the room took her completely by surprise. The chamber walls were covered in paintings, carvings that depicted the history of the Hippocamp Empire, depicting rulers and religious figures going back centuries at least. Dominating the center of the room was a statue of a gigantic serpent wrapped around, twisted around a stone ship, bigger than the tranquility itself. Was that what Ouroboros had looked like? The statue glimmered in the glow of the crystal's light. Each scale was molded separately from different colored metals, making it somewhat like they were carved away from the gems. Level left the crab-forming ship, the undertaking must have boggled Twilight's mind. A moment around the base statue finally drew Twilight's eyes down to the floor. A team of a dozen or so ponies working around the statue with tools. Twilight watched one of them pry out a gemstone scale and drop it to the buckle next to him. They were ripping the statue apart piece by piece, probably to melt down for raw metals. Other ponies wandered around the room, loading up carts full of statues and other artifacts, and dragging through a hole at the base of one of the walls. The hole must lead to some kind of tunnel, or passageway that would take him back to the surface, he reasoned. Across the room there were teams of ponies in diving suits, gathered around what looked like a pool of water. The temple must have some basic level that hadn't been dried out by whatever enchantment created the bubble of air he was breathing. Were these just ordinary looters? How could they have possibly found this place? A voice from below carried up to where Twilight was huddled and peering down. Hurry up, you piles of worthless flesh! Let me see your team come down here to Blaze House again! 1,000 bits in the ponies to bring me that dagger! So much for that idea. So he looked out at the pony the voice belonged to, or had the air of a pony in charge. The man from the rooftop. Twilight thought. What Celestia's name is she doing down here?
Who the hell are you?
Demanded a voice. Startled, Twilight turned around to see a large pony standing and rounded a corner behind her and spied her. Looking around, she saw that just down the hall there was a stairwell. Hopefully led upward, but Twilight didn't have a lot of options.
Hey, boss! There's somebody else here! She's not one of our crew!
The stallion called out to the ponies below. Well, grab her, you moron! Came the voice of the pink Pegasus mare below. Twilight reached the stairwell just as the stallion behind her gave chase. Luckily, the stairwell did indeed lead up. Twilight began to ascend the stairs 2 or 3 at a time. The stallion had longer legs and was gaining on her quickly. After 3 flights, Twilight stopped at the staircase. The stallion behind her was nearly close enough to bite her. He was so focused on her he didn't spot the odd grooves in the wall. Noticed the rust-toned discolorations on the floor that had spattered years ago. Twilight did. When she was just a few steps from the top, Twilight pushed off her back legs and drew herself forward, sliding along the floor of the landing. A pair of curved blades sliced out from the wall, close enough to take a few strands of mane off her head. The stallion hadn't been so lucky. His scream was cut terribly short as Twilight felt something wet and hot splatter across her back. She crawled a little further on her belly to make sure she was clear of the blades before she got up. Forcing herself not to look back, she tried to head quickly as she dared. Our ponies would be after her soon. She couldn't afford any delay. The hall terminated with one of the massive pair of doors that Twilight had never seen. She fired up her telekinesis to try to force it to move. Pushing didn't work, neither did pulling. Twilight looked more closely at the symbols on the door. They looked like writing to her, probably in Hippocampian. The door must be sealed with some kind of riddle or password. She couldn't read it. Behind her, she heard footsteps coming up the stairs. A lot of them. Bucket! Sorry, Bronze. You probably won't like what I'm about to do. Gathering up all her energy, she let loose a torrential blast of energy at the doors which promptly exploded, sending pointed shards of rock flying in every direction. Ignoring the nicks and minor cuts the flying detritus had given her, she stepped into the room beyond the now broken doorframe. The floor was covered in a large mosaic of large tiles, all with different patterns and colors. On the far side of the room, resting atop a pedestal, was what had to be her target. Deciding not to take a chance on her tiles, Twilight teleported directly to the other side and stared at her prize. The plate and bowl she had seen from earlier had been unremarkable, so she expected the same for the dagger. Nothing could be further from the truth. The blade was nearly as long as Twilight's foreleg, made of a single shard of obsidian. As Twilight watched it, she could swear in the corner of her eye she could sense the runes skittering across the surface. Black glaring on a black background made of forms she could actually see. The hilt was a rod of dull brass, not something that could be easily gripped and held with a hoof, but covered with intricate carvings of battles gone by. It positively radiated sheer, unadulterated power. Twilight reached out and tested the edge with a hoof. Even though she touched it slightly as she could, it broke her skin and cut into her, drawing blood. Twilight yelped and pulled her hoof away, rubbing the dagger in a telekinetic field. She lifted off the pedestal.
I found her! She's up here! She found the dagger too!
She came the voice from the doorway. Twilight saw a young olive-green unicorn standing in the doorway.
The man turned back to her.
Look, I don't care who you are or even what you did to Chess about that. I mean, hey, one less putty cutting the root. You know, give me the dagger and I'll make sure you get out of here alive. I'll even spit the reward with you. Doesn't that sound fair? She asked. Twilight didn't respond, so the mayor continued. Look, one way or another, I'm taking that dagger from you. So don't think I won't hurt you to get it.
The man took a step into the room, pressing a tile in the process. The hand panel on the ceiling above her slid open and sprayed a foul-smelling liquid all over the unicorn. She shrieked again to cough from the fumes coming out the puddles of the liquor around her.
Yeah, gross! What is this stuff?
She got her answer when a small block of flint fell from the same hole and landed on another tile nearby. A tile made of metal. When it struck, a shower of sparks erupted. An instant later, half the room was in flames. The fluid and everything covered it burned a sickly green flame. Even across the roof, the heat was unbearable. The unicorn screamed in agony as her skin burned away in a flash. She staggered further into the room, pressing a second tile a few rows from the first. A column of stone plummeted down from the ceiling, landed directly on her head, and silencing her scream with merciful swiftness. The flames died away as quickly as they sprung up as they consumed their fuel, leaving only a few embers, and the polyseed slide of charred meat behind. Seeking to get away from the grotesque scenes he had just witnessed, Twilight teleported back into the hallway and galloped back towards the stairs as quickly as she could. She averted her eyes from where she knew the stallion's speckled body lay. She dearly wished that the other pony hadn't told her his name had been Jester. She teleported to landing halfway down to continue her descent. Standing at the base of the stairs were 3 more members of that Pink Pegasus crew. They seemed surprised to see her appear in front of them as she was to see them. Before they could recover their wits, she flung a few series of quick magic missiles at them, following up with barrage of ice shards. Not stopping to see if they were knocked out or just stunned, she continued down the stairs and made 2 more flights without incident, ending up at the same floor she had came from. Maybe she could just get down on that balcony she could. From nowhere, some point slammed into a railing that overlooked the central chamber. The momentum caused her to flip over it and tumble down to the floor below. She smashed against the tail of the serpent statue and slid the rest of the way to the ground. Somehow she managed to keep her grip on the dagger, but when she looked up, a dozen ponies were surrounding her. There was nowhere to run. The leader stepped forward.
I remember you. You're that unicorn mare who hangs around with the princess, aren't you? What's your name? Twilight Sparkle,
She replied. She just felt like it was on fire, and almost certain she bruised her rib in that collision with the statue, and broke it entirely.
Well then, Miss Sparkle, what am I going to do with you? First things first, I'll be taking that dagger you have there.
She reached out to grab it, but Twilight lifted her telekinesis and slashed wildly at her. Mayor backed away quickly.
No way! Can't have it! One way or another, I'm taking it. You see, my contact at the Smithsonian Institution told me all about what this for. I always knew about the stories of our birds, and the stories promise untold power for any pony that can harness it. Or something like that. I'm going to turn my little crew here into new rulers of the seas. Every pony will learn to fear the horrible giraffe or the dread pirate queen, Captain Gundam Gears!
All you pony people!
You're going to get them killed. You can't control it. No pony can, I said.
Gundam Giggles shrugged.
Maybe a couple of them. But once I send all that stuff from this temple, I'll be able to hire 12 ponies for every one I use. By tomorrow morning, it'll be all over. You see, assuming that you need that long. Now, enough chit-chat. You're clearly in no shape to fight all of us. Twilight's response was a bolt of magical energy that threw the stallion next to Gundam Giggles across the room. The other ponies took a step back from her, but Gundam Giggles held her ground. The effort of casting a spell made Twilight's vision swim. She blinked rapidly, shook her head until the world stopped spinning. Listen, Twilight Sparkle. You see that talent back there? She gestured to the hole in the wall that Twilight noticed earlier. It goes back to Pensacola. It's also rigged up with enough explosives to seal it up and crack the temple's foundation in half. What do you think that do to the spells that keep the water out here? The way I see it, you have 3 options. 1, you give me my dagger, my crew and I need to the tunnel, You crawl your way back to your previous princess to try to stop us later. 2. You fight us if we kill you. 3. You fight us, as to get the upper hoof, which you won't. I blow the tunnel and we all get it around. What's it going to be? Twice my race. Gundrive Giggles was right. Need to figure a way to change the situation fast. Before Twilight could answer, a mare wearing a diving suit surfaced from the pool that led down to the temple's deepest reaches. With their diving helmet in panic, she started screaming, Captain, quick! Get me out of here! Help me out of the water! They got sealed that tunnel open, but there wasn't any treasure. They all dead! Get me out of the water! It's a nest, Captain! A nest of seabirds and the rabbit hunt! A tackle burst out of the water behind the mare. The scream choked off into the instant and wrapped her around her neck. It pulled her beneath the surface. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's actually a giant crab. And he sings, So shiny! I know the world, so shiny! Yes, I was, Mona! Shut up! Her scream was shut off in an instant as it wrapped around her neck and pulled off beneath the surface. A stream of bubbles, deeper where as a cloud of blood dyed a pool in opposite crimson.